Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and Boom 20 is back. Longtime viewers of the channel will know Boom 20 as a regional champion who about once per season or so will submit battles to the channel of him running a pretty spicy team at leaderboard elo and still taking down some of the best trainers in the world. Well, today, he's back. He submitted footage from the Championship Series Cup meta with a team built around Starmie and Vespiquen. Now it goes without saying, this is not a team that you should use if you're looking to gain elo in this meta, but man, we are in for some incredibly fun games. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and off to a tough start in game number 1, leading Starmie into Matang. Matang is a core breaker for this team. The only silver lining, if there is one about this matchup, is that Matang's energy is completely walled. Gyro Ball and Psyshock are both going to be resisted, so Starmie no-shields the Gyro Ball and lands the Surf. In comes Goodra, opponent sends out Gyarados, but the opponent has just fallen for Boom's trap. As you take a look at this Goodra's defense stat, you'll notice it has a monster defense stat. That is by design, because a Goodra with a very high defense stat can actually bulk point Dragon Breath from Gyarados, meaning each Dragon Breath does 1 less damage than it normally does, completely turning this matchup into a matchup where Goodra can dominate. I mean, look at the fast move pressure from the Gyarados. The Gyarados is basically doing no damage. Goodra will very easily be able to make it to the Thunder Punch, and the opponent makes a well-timed switch out to catch Thunder Punch onto Matang. Matang now going to be answered with Vespiquen. Vespiquen going to look for the full Fury Cutter farm down. Matang hangs on to make a last-second Gyro Ball, landing some crucial damage, and in the back, the opponent has Celio. Celio not going to appreciate this Power Gem. This is super effective damage. The Power Gem is going to land, getting Celio very low, and Celio will immediately return fire with a Body Slam. The Body Slam will not knock out. Back in comes the Gyarados, and Gyarados unable to get the snipe down as Vespiquen makes the X-Scissor. X-Scissor is going to set up a farm down, and now back in comes Starmie. Starmie, these Psy Waves are adding up quite substantially. Opponent realizes they cannot Powder Snow down, and they're forced to throw energy. In comes Goodra. Goodra gets the Dragon Breath down, and despite a very scary lead, this game will end in victory. Great lead in the next match, Starmie into Dugong, and the fact that the Dugong is not switching out means the opponent is in some serious trouble. Starmie will launch the Power Gem, shield comes up from the Dugong, telegraphing that they'll go for the Icy Wind, and Boom knows it. Look at that instant no-shield, a split-second decision, calling out the Icy Wind, and that's a really nice play. He overfarms CMP tying Power Gem to their next charge attack. Power Gem lands, Starmie has done its job. The opponent goes for another Icy Wind bait. It's going to be a simultaneous switch out, Goodra into the Shadow Charizard. Goodra and Charizard will have identical pacing in this matchup because this Charizard is on Dragon Breath. The shield comes up from Goodra. Goodra doubles up on Aqua Tails, but Goodra will be losing the charge attack priority tie to Charizard. So Goodra is going to opt out, instead taking the free Dragon Breath and putting up the final shield. So all shields down for the remainder of the match. Goodra realizes it's not going to farm down, it's taking too much damage. So Goodra will secure the knockout with the Aqua Tail. Opponent, they're probably going to have to bring in their final Pokemon. It's going to be a Skeleturge. There's a catch attempt onto the Dugong. That just gets farmed down by the Vespiquen. Vespiquen just needs to make the Power Gem and does. The energy management is exquisite. Power Gem lands devastating damage onto the Skeleturge. And Skeleturge is actually going to get KO'd by an X-Scissor. I believe this is double resisted. X-Scissor takes the knockout onto Skeleturge. And that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Starmie into Matang once again. We've seen this lead play out. It's not a fun lead for the Starmie. But unfortunately, Goodra also does not have a good matchup here. So Starmie's going to have to stay in, absorb the Psyshock, and then look to get some damage with the Surf. Surf will do a pretty sizable amount of damage to the Matang, and now out comes Goodra. Goodra going to be answered with Dugong. Goodra can hit for super effective damage with Thunder Punch, but unfortunately, Dugong's consistent super effective ice pressure means that Dugong will be able to emerge victorious. Goodra will no-shield, this Icy Wind will not take the knockout. Goodra tries to get to the Thunder Punch, but unfortunately, that's perfect farm down range for the Dugong. And Dugong getting that farm down, the energy being lost, might be the advantage the opponent needs to flip this match to a win. Joran does get shielded, in comes Matang. Matang will be answered with the Vespiquen. But Vespiquen, Fury Cutter only hits for neutral damage. That means Matang is going to get to a second charge attack and Vespiquen goes for a farm down. Vespiquen now going to be met with a second Psyshock. The shield will go up. Can Matang get to a third? It's going to be very close. Vespiquen realizes a third charge attack is incoming. so it's forced to fire off the X-Scissor and take the knockout. Vespiquen does have a healthy energy head start, and it's going to need it as back in comes the Dugong. Max Overfarm from Vespiquen going for the Power Gem. Power Gem will take the knockout. In the back is Gyarados, and Vespiquen really needs this to land. Power Gem into the Gyarados is going to connect. That's big damage. Gyarados will go for a charge attack. This is going to be very, very close. A battle of fast moves. Dragon Breath versus Psywave. In comes Starmie. No, the Gyarados on 1 HP takes the win. And unfortunately, that game will end in defeat. Hopping into the next match, hitting Starmie into Jumpluff. I imagine this is not a fun matchup for Starmie. Starmie will go for the Power Gem. Power Gem lands, and once a Power Gem lands, suddenly the matchup is a lot more comfortable. In comes Goodra. Goodra going to be hit with the Aerial Ace, and out comes Shadow Annihilate. Annihilate's a Pokemon that I haven't really seen any of in this meta, so a bit interesting to see Jumpluff and Annihilate, as that would have been a strong open Great League core a couple seasons ago. Annihilate's Rage Fist will fail to take the knockout. Goodra stops tapping because Goodra wants as much farm as possible on that Starmie. So Starmie gets a pretty healthy farm down. In the back is Dusknoir, and that was not Astonish. I believe that was actually a Hex Dusknoir. In comes Vespiquen. Hex does mean this Dusknoir is going to be exceedingly spammy, but it's lacking the fast move pressure of the Astonish variant. The Shadow Punch will land. There's going to be the switch into Jumpluff. Jumpluff already at another Aerial Ace, and the shield will come up from the Vespiquen. I imagine Jumpluff is too bulky to farm down, so Vespiquen will fire off the X-Scissor and go for the full Undercharge. The Undercharge is perfect, giving Vespiquen extra energy. Back in comes the Dusknoir. Dusknoir is Shadow, which means that even a resisted X-Scissor will do quite a lot of damage. And that's what Vespiquen is going to go for. X-Scissor will connect. There's no Protect Shields in play, but Dusknoir hangs on. In comes the Starmie. Psywaves go through, and that's very valuable damage onto the Dusknoir. The shield comes up. Starmie now going to get knocked out, but another Psywave is now going to land. Can Vespiquen get this farm down? It's going to be close. Vespiquen takes the farm down and secures the win. We move to the next match. Starmie leading into a Gyarados. Starmie will be able to hit for super effective damage with Power Gem, but Starmie can hit for super effective damage right back with the Crunch. The shield comes up from Starmie. Gyarados, unfortunately, will go for an Aqua Tail bait. These Psywaves are absolutely melting the opponent. The opponent actually goes for a switch out onto Oranguru. And Oranguru is about to get absolutely deleted by Vespiquen. I love the rebank of energy there onto the Starmie because it's such a dominant matchup that you can afford to give Oranguru a head start. Vespiquen is massively bulky, and it just completely destroys Oranguru. Brutal Swing comes out once again. Vespiquen does not care, and Vespiquen gets that full farm down. Back in comes the Gyarados. Gyarados' energy, I believe, would be enough to knock out even the bulky Vespiquen, so unfortunately, both shields are now out of play. The opponent sends in Dugong. Will they respect the X-Scissor bait? And they do. Vespiquen is going to now make the Power Gem on perfect charge attack timing due to that bait. Power Gem lands, back in comes the Starmie, and this is just an avalanche of charge attacks. The third charge attack is shielded. There's going to be charge attack number 4, and in a split second, Dugong went from full health and 2 shields to no shields and no health. Back in comes the Gyarados. Gyarados will get the farm down, but it's Goodra in the back. Goodra Dragon Breaths down the Gyarados to secure the win. We've got a bit of an interesting matchup in the next match, Starmie into Fearow. Fearow has very good pacing. Fearow not the bulkiest, but then again, neither is Starmie. Shield comes up on the Drill Peck. Starmie doesn't even have to go for a Power Gem in this matchup, as the Psywaves will easily put it into Surf range. Surf is going to be shielded up by the Fearow. Fearow barely able to outpace, and a double shield from the Starmie. Starmie really trying to get rid of this Fearow. There's the switch out from the opponent. They're going to safe switch into Ember Turtonator. Ember Turtonator will take big damage from Surf. There's going to be the switch into Goodra, as now Goodra can go for a full farm down. Dragon Claw will hit for big super effective damage, but Goodra is able to survive. Goodra just gets that farm down as the opponent is unable to make it to their Brutal Swing. In comes Metal Sound Bronzong as the final Pokemon. And Bronzong, it's not going to take a lot of damage from the Aqua Tail plus Thunder Punch, but all chip damage will help. And then it's going to be up to Vespiquen to try and close out the game. And honestly, that damage did a lot. In comes Vespiquen. I was not expecting Bronzong to get that low. And this is where Vespiquen's bulk is going to be very, very helpful, because 2 Psyshocks will actually fail to take the knockout. Two Psyshocks can neutrally knock out a lot of Pokemon in this meta, but not Vespiquen. Vespiquen hangs on. There's the switch to the Fearow. Fearow threatened by the X-Scissor. There's the switch to the Starmie. Starmie gets that Psywave down on 1 HP and exits with the Surf loaded. Back in comes the Bronzong. It's too little too late. They get knocked out by the Surf, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, fitting Starmie into Oranguru. Oranguru will be able to hit for super effective damage with Brutal Swing. Starmie farming up quite a bit of energy and a very nice catch, saving all that Starmie energy and catching the Brutal Swing onto Goodra. Goodra is very bulky. Opponent now going to send out Dugong. This works very, very nicely. Luring out the Ice type, hopefully freeing up Vespiquen to do good things in the back. Thunder Punch will connect, and the Goodra has already taken enough damage that Icy Wind will be securing the knockout. But the opponent threw very early, which means this Starmie can now massively overfarm, and Boom is going to take full advantage. Look at that very nice overfarm. And this Power Gem will easily take the knockout, but no, the opponent puts up the shield, and now Starmie is going to shield right back. That's a Drill Run coming out from the Dugong, and Dugong might honestly get Psywave down here, and they will get Psywave down. A critical error from the opponent. Back in comes the Oranguru, but Oranguru is so far behind. There's the one off their Brutal Swing. Starmie gonna throw the Surf, and this Oranguru is in some serious danger. Surf will be shielded. There's the switch to Vespiquen, answered with a Shadow Wall Rain, and I don't think this Wall Rain's about to like what happens next. Vespiquen has to shield up the Icicle Spear. Vespiquen gonna look to overfarm quite significantly and go for the Power Gem. These Fury Cutters have added up quite a bit. Power Gem needs to be enough. It is. Down goes Wall Rain. Back in comes the Oranguru, and Vespiquen's just on a rampage. Power Gem KOing the Wall Rain. X-Scissor knocking out Oranguru to secure the win. Starmie versus Metacham in the next match, and this actually is a complete wall to Metacham's energy. In this meta, Metacham is going to be running Dynamic Punch and Ice Punch. Neither charge attack can even hit for neutral. Even if for whatever reason they were running Psychic, that would be resisted as well. However, I don't know if anyone told Starmie that it's a complete wall, because that Dynamic Punch still did way too much damage. And that just shows the difference in stat product between these two Pokemon. Starmie is a lot more on the frail side. Metacham barely survives. And now the opponent is going to get aggressive and pivot into Togekiss. Togekiss shielding up the Surf, but Starmie will make it to a third Surf. Now the Togekiss has to decide, is this worth the final shield? Togekiss says yes, and in comes Goodra. This Togekiss is on Dazzling Gleam. This could get a little bit scary. The shield comes up, but Togekiss will go for the Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere still does not provide a lot of information on the moveset, but the fact that the opponent just goes for the Aura Sphere and does not build up tells us that they're probably not on Gleam. Opponent reveals their closer, and it's actually their own Vespiquen. Vespiquen will be taking super effective damage from Thunder Punch, and Goodra has so much energy. Another Thunder Punch thrown at the Vespiquen is going to be no shielded. Vespiquen is forced to throw energy, and this is perfect. If Vespiquen was able to get a farm down and exit with a Power Gem, that could have been catastrophic. And now Boom's Vespiquen is the one that farms down. Back in comes the Togekiss. Togekiss is not surviving this Power Gem. This is super effective damage, and Vespiquen does hit pretty hard. In the back, all that's left is that 1 HP Metacham, and the opponent will resign the match. We've got same leads as before in the next match, leading Starmie into the Metacham. But as we've seen, even though Metacham's energy is completely walled, Metacham is just so much bulkier than the Starmie, so Dynamic Punch will still hit for massive damage. Starmie's going to look to play it the same way as last game. Tank a Dynamic, Shield a Dynamic, and then try and Psywave it into Surf range. Surf will barely not take the knockout, but it should set up a perfect farm down, as Metacham is not going to get to another charge stack. Is this going to be a similar team to last game? Opponent waiting down their timer, and they're going to send in Togekiss. So it's Togekiss once again. I wonder if it's going to be the double flyer supporting that Metacham. Surf is going to be shielded. Oh my goodness, this is the Power Gem. You got to hope the opponent decides to try and no-shield a Surf, and they do. Power Gem connects. But that's actually not the Vespiquen that we were expecting. Instead, it's Oranguru. Oranguru is going to have a difficult enough time getting through the Goodra. And once it gets through the Goodra, it's going to see an absolute wall in Vespiquen. So the opponent doesn't know it yet, but this game is absolutely over. Shield comes out from the opponent, but unfortunately, the thing they can't shield is the Dragon Breath. The Aqua Tail damage definitely does not help. Goodra will get knocked out. No! Boom is not going to reveal the final Pokemon. I thought he was going to no-shield and send in the Vespiquen, but he is not revealing it. Vespiquen staying a secret, as Goodra will take the knockout with Aqua Tail, and it looks like right at the end, the opponent did end up closing out of their app. Hopping into the final match, Starmie into Dusknoir. You can't ask for much of a worse lead than that. Safe switch Goodra answered with the Gyarados, and we've seen this matchup before. A bunch of WhatsApp notifications coming through as well. Boom's got a lot going on right now, but first he's got to focus on this battle. Gyarados firing off a charge attack, Crunch no shielded by the Goodra. Goodra will fire off a last second Thunder Punch. Is the opponent really willing to go down 2 shields for a switch advantage? No, they are not, and Gyarados gets KO'd. Back in comes the Dusknoir. Dusknoir has quite a bit of energy, but this is where the bulk of Vespiquen will be incredibly clutch. As Vespiquen can no-shield any one move, it's going to be the Shadow Punch coming out from the opponent in the back. They have a rollout Glalie. Glalie, I believe it is 5 to the Shadow Ball, so I believe they have their first Shadow Ball here, and the shield comes up, and the opponent is going to full send. Starmie farming up a ton of energy. Looks like a bit of an accidental mistime there, firing off this Power Gem. Power Gem connects, down goes Glalie, and back in comes the Dusknoir. Dusknoir is going to lose a ton of HP, whether it's via the Surf or the Power Gem. Opponent elects to no-shield the Surf, and they get Psywave down by Starmie to secure the win. In a meta like the Championship Series Cup that is so defined by having very few playable options, it's very cool to see someone think outside the box and be able to have success. However, I will caution, like I did at the beginning of the video, this is not a team that is recommended for climbing. In a lot of these matchups, Boom had very negative team compositions, and with very careful and meticulous gameplay was able to claw his way back via perfect overfarms, switches, and the like to be able to secure wins. So if you're looking to climb in this meta, I posted quite a few climbing teams that I would recommend more than this. But man, it is incredibly fun to watch one of the best players in our game, a regional champion, kind of just get to run whatever he wants and still dismantle the competition along the way at leaderboard elo. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. Thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.